Imagine being stuck in an elevator with a person who does nothing but complain about everything from the weather to the government. Sounds exhausting, doesn't it? Let's delve into the world of toxic individuals. These are the folks who seem to have an uncanny knack for sucking the joy out of a room, leaving behind an atmosphere heavy with negativity. They're the complainers, the critics, the naysayers, those who never seem satisfied no matter what. They drain our energy, dampen our spirits, and often leave us feeling deflated and demoralized. Toxic individuals are not just challenging to deal with personally. Their negativity can permeate entire teams, departments, or organizations, leading to a drop in morale, productivity, and overall satisfaction. They're like a rain cloud that never lifts, casting a shadow over everyone and everything they come into contact with. But why do these individuals behave this way? Often it's due to their own insecurities, fears, or unresolved issues. They may feel threatened, jealous, or inadequate, and so they project these feelings onto others. They may try to control, manipulate, or belittle, all in an attempt to make themselves feel better. It's a destructive cycle that can be incredibly damaging to those caught in their path. So how do we deal with such individuals? The key is to handle them with intelligence and finesse. This means not letting their negativity affect us, setting clear boundaries, and not taking their behavior personally. It means understanding that their behavior is a reflection of their own issues, not a reflection of our worth. Smart individuals know how to navigate these challenging interactions. They don't let toxic individuals drain their energy or dictate their mood. Instead, they approach these situations with empathy, understanding, and assertiveness, ensuring they protect their own well-being while also dealing with the toxic individual in a respectful and appropriate manner. But don't fret. This video will equip you with the necessary skills to deal with such individuals. Stay tuned as we explore the different types of toxic individuals and provide practical strategies for handling them effectively. The challenge of toxic individuals is real, but with the right tools, you can rise above it. Meet John, a successful entrepreneur who had to deal with a persistent critic in his early days. John was a man with a vision. He saw opportunities where others saw only challenges. But like many of us, he had a constant critic in his life, a colleague named Pete. Pete was the kind of person who could find fault in a sunrise, and he had a particular knack for raining on John's parade. Every idea John brought to the table, Pete was there, ready with a volley of criticisms. He'd dissect every proposal, highlight every potential flaw, and predict doom and gloom at every turn. It was relentless, it was draining, but John refused to let it derail him. Now you might think John fought fire with fire, met criticism with criticism, but that was not his style. Instead, he chose to stay calm, to keep his focus on his work, and not to take Pete's words to heart. He understood that Pete's criticisms were a reflection of Pete's mindset, not a reflection of John's abilities or ideas. So, how did he do it? How did he keep his cool in the face of constant criticism? Well, John had a few strategies that he employed. First, he learned to separate the criticism from the critic. He realized that Pete's words were just that, words. They held no power over him or his work unless he allowed them to. Second, he practiced mindfulness. He stayed present, focused on his tasks, and didn't get drawn into pointless debates. He knew his worth, he believed in his ideas, and he didn't let Pete's negativity cloud his vision. Lastly, he fostered a positive mindset. He surrounded himself with people who inspired him, believed in him, and supported his vision. He chose to feed off their positive energy rather than dwell on Pete's negativity. John's strategy was simple, but effective. He didn't let the critic's words affect his performance. He knew the value of his work and let that drive him, not the disparaging words of a persistent critic. And look at him now, a successful entrepreneur. Proof that the right attitude can overcome even the harshest of critics. Let's switch gears and talk about Sarah, a team leader who had an energy vampire in her team. Now, an energy vampire is not a creature of the night, but rather a person who drains the emotional energy of those around them. They are, in essence, psychological and emotional parasites. Sarah, an accomplished team leader, found herself in a difficult situation when she discovered that one of her team members was an energy vampire. She noticed that team morale was suffering, productivity was down, and there was a general air of negativity. This individual was constantly complaining, always playing the victim and never taking responsibility. They were sucking the life out of the team. Sarah knew she had to act. She didn't want to make rash decisions, so she started by observing this person closely, trying to understand their behavior. She realized that the energy vampire thrived on attention and drama. They would often create situations to get the spotlight on them, sucking the energy out of the room. Understanding the problem was half the battle won. Sarah then took action. She started setting clear boundaries. She made it clear that negativity wouldn't be tolerated, and a positive work environment was non-negotiable. She encouraged her team to focus on solutions rather than problems, thereby taking away the vampire's source of energy. Sarah also took the time to talk to the energy vampire privately. Instead of pointing fingers, she used constructive criticism, highlighting the impact of their behavior on the team. She also encouraged them to express their concerns positively and constructively. The result? The energy vampire started to change their behavior. They realized that their tactics were no longer working. The team's energy started to rebound, productivity increased, and the atmosphere improved. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but Sarah's consistent efforts paid off. Sarah's approach ensured that the energy vampire didn't suck the life out of her team. Her story underscores the importance of recognizing and addressing the presence of an energy vampire promptly. It's a reminder that as a leader, your responsibility is not just to manage your team, but also to protect their energy. After all, a team's energy is its lifeblood, and it's your job to ensure it keeps flowing. Now, what if the toxic individual is your boss? James, a software engineer, had to deal with such a scenario. James was a dedicated and skilled worker, committed to his job. However, his boss, let's call him Mr. X, was the embodiment of toxicity. Mr. X was overly critical, often publicly demeaning James, and seemed to take pleasure in creating a hostile work environment. This situation would have broken many, but not James. He realized that reacting emotionally would only give Mr. X the power he craved. Instead, James chose to maintain his professionalism. He focused on his work, ensuring that his performance remained top-notch. When Mr. X would berate him, James would listen, take on board any constructive criticism, and disregard the rest. But James didn't just grit his teeth and bear it. He sought support from his peers. They too had noticed Mr. X's toxic behavior, and they offered James their solidarity. This camaraderie was a beacon of hope for James, reminding him that he wasn't alone in this battle. James also understood the importance of involving human resources. He documented every instance of Mr. X's toxic behavior. He made sure to capture the date, time, location, and the exact nature of the incident. He even noted down the names of any witnesses. This meticulous documentation served as a powerful tool when he finally decided to report Mr. X to HR. HR took James's complaint seriously. They reviewed his documentation, conducted their own investigation, and found his claims to be valid. Mr. X was held accountable for his actions, and the toxicity at the workplace was addressed. James showed us that even in the face of adversity, maintaining professionalism and seeking appropriate support can help us navigate through the storm. He proved that standing up to a toxic superior is not just possible but necessary. After all, everyone deserves to work in an environment where they are treated with respect and dignity. So if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, remember James's story. Don't let toxicity define your work experience. Stand up, speak out, and seek support. James showed us that even in the face of adversity, maintaining professionalism and seeking appropriate support can help us navigate through the storm. So what can we learn from John, Sarah, and James? Well, the experiences of these three individuals provide us with a wealth of wisdom on how to handle challenging and toxic people. Firstly, let's consider the importance of staying calm. Like John, when faced with persistent critics, we need to remember that maintaining our composure is crucial. We shouldn't allow negative comments or criticisms to disturb our peace of mind. Instead, we should view them as opportunities to reflect, grow, and improve. Secondly, Sarah's story reminds us to always focus on our work. Despite being surrounded by energy vampires, she persevered and stayed committed to her tasks. By doing so, she didn't allow the negativity to distract her from her goals. This kind of focus can act as a protective shield, preventing us from being consumed by the toxicity around us. Now let's think about not taking criticisms personally. James taught us that it's crucial to differentiate between constructive feedback and destructive criticism. While the former helps us to improve, the latter is merely a reflection of the critic's own insecurities. By not taking these criticisms to heart, we can maintain our self-esteem and continue to thrive. Setting boundaries, as we've seen from all three stories, is also essential. It's important to establish clear lines that others should not cross. This not only protects our mental and emotional health, but also signals to others that we respect ourselves and demand the same respect in return. Moreover, maintaining professionalism in all situations is key. Our responses to toxic individuals should always be measured and respectful, no matter how provoked we might feel. This approach not only preserves our dignity, but also helps to de-escalate potentially volatile situations. Finally, let's not forget the power of seeking support. Nobody should have to deal with toxicity alone. Whether it's a trusted colleague, a mentor, or a professional counselor, having someone to share our experiences with can be incredibly therapeutic and empowering. Remember, dealing with toxic individuals is a challenge, but with the right approach, it's a challenge you can conquer.